Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to another episode of Ben and Joel Reviews. I'm Ben.
And I'm Joel.
And this is the podcast where we discuss movies, TV shows, and theatre.
And whatever else we want.
So please, sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Oh my gosh! That is right. It is I, Ben.
Oh, it's you. Hello, Ben.
It's me. Yes, it is I.
How are you, dear?
I'm all right. How are you?
Terrified.
Why is that?
Because we're reviewing Friday the 14th.
Friday. I said Friday the Fart. Friday the Fart.
Friday the 13th, part 3.
Yes. And it felt earned doing that little evil cackle at the start, because not only are we reviewing Friday the 13th, part 3, but it's getting closer to October.
Spooky season.
Yes.
Yes. It feels very fitting for context to you listeners. We are recording a lot later than we normally would, and it's dark.
It is dark.
So we're setting the mood.
And we are also sitting in front of a giant green screen.
Yes, that Ben's been playing around with.
Yes. So do be expecting more sketches in the future.
Yeah, we really enjoyed making that first one, didn't we?
We did, yeah. Had a lot of fun. And I know we're going to have a lot more fun now that we've got this green screen. I'm sort of got around to the effect of removing the background. So yes, keep a lookout for some interesting sketches that we'll be releasing.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe not funny. So what are these two weird guys up to now?
Why is that guy wearing spandex?
What kind of plans do you have for me, Ben?
Okay, so Friday the 13th, part 3. I actually thought this was better than the first two.
Yeah, it is a marked improvement by a long shot. I think this is the one where it's really found its footing. It's really figured out what it wants to be and what the audience, or the returning audience of these films, wants to see.
Yeah.
It understands its niche and it plays to it. It does, in a sense, make certain elements more predictable than the first two, but then it has a few more surprises, it's a bit more novel, and then you also add on top of the fact that this was made for 3D at the time, I think you mentioned to me. Yeah, which in a lot of cases is blindingly obvious, and I'm sure we'll point those out as we go, but that sort of extra layer on top made some of the visuals a little bit more creative.
Yes.
And I do think it works to its advantage. And I thoroughly enjoyed this one way more than the first two.
Yeah, as did I. It's entertaining from start to finish.
Yeah.
Steve Miner directed this one, who also directed part 2.
I see. So
I don't know what happened between 2 and 3, because 2 was okay. You know, as we said at the end of that review, that again, much like the first one, it's the perfect film to watch with your friends with a pizza and a beer and have a laugh. This one really does go over that.
Yeah.
This is certainly a film you can watch with your friends, pizza, beer, and laugh your ass off.
Yeah, that is exactly what it's designed for. It does it perfectly. I mean, you could say the same of the first two, and this one certainly does keep elements of that sort of formula. But I don't know what it is with this one. I think maybe because the creatives who have been working on these films have had more time to think about it and work on it. Maybe it's the element of 3D. Who knows? Or maybe it's, the director just improving, especially if he's done part 2. This one felt way more thought out, way more novel, and was more surprising. It had more surprises in it. Films of this nature have a tendency to kind of fall into the trappings if you can tell exactly what's going to happen based on certain lines of dialogue or cues of music or like tricks in the editing, and you, as an audience member, you get used to these things so you can predict certain things. And I think that was part 1 and part 2 both very much felt predictable in that sense.
Yeah.
But this one, well, in certain parts, yes, it can fall into that trap. It subverts it a lot more, and I respect it for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So like usual, if we go top bottom,
Yeah, we'll go top down.
it had a very decent opening after another recap.
Yeah, I like that it actually managed to recap the ending of part 2. Obviously, people who are like really into the franchise and stuff like that, they don't need that.
Yeah.
But for casual viewers, that's a really handy thing, which you wouldn't see in a film today.
No.
Absolutely not. But it gives you just enough information to know exactly what's going to happen going forward, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It comes and goes pretty quickly, and I think it was a nice little addition for sort of more casual audiences.
Yeah, me personally, I didn't think the recap was needed. Again, in my opinion, if you want to have a recap, just watch the second film. I feel like, because you have the recap and then you have the opening credits, which is clearly designed in that 3D style.
Yeah. Where they're zooming at you out of the screen.
Yeah, and oh my god, back then it would have been with those red and blue 3D glasses, which always gave me a headache.
Yeah, I find, I don't know if there's any like condition or something, but I have very sensitive eyes. So even modern day 3D doesn't sit well with me. At the best of times, I find my eyes get like really watery and really sensitive, and I blink more and stuff. But with that kind of 3D, with the red and is it red and blue? Red and blue.
Yeah.
That just sends me. Just cannot use it at all.
Yeah.
It makes me feel ill.
Yeah, same. You have the opening credits, and then you have what I think is the real opening scene, which is with the couple who own the store, and they're both killed by Jason. So I think that should have been the opening, then the opening credits.
Okay, I
Because
see.
after that scene where the couple are murdered in the shop, the screen turns white. And then it comes back, and then it cuts to that shot of the baseball bat being pointed directly at the camera for 3D.
3D, yeah.
I think it should have been that opening scene, opening credits, and then when the credits end, it goes to that shot of the kid with the bat into the screen.
Yeah, okay, because I think you can get the same thing across. The only thing you really need the recap for is any kind of lore associated with Jason, which, whether you know it or not, doesn't really impact your viewing experience.
No.
At all. So yeah, okay, maybe I think maybe I do agree with you in this instance then. Yeah. That might have been a good break for titles. I wonder if that was the initial intention, and maybe the studio wanted the recap on for casual audiences, maybe.
Possibly, because with a lot of distribution companies, they like to have, what's the word? A formula.
Yeah.
To follow.
Yeah.
And I mean, Friday the 13th is a prime example of every single film does follow a very specific formula.
Yeah, it definitely does. Definitely. Before we press on forward as well, I would like to note, I have in my notes here,
Yes.
my very insightful notes as always.
Okay.
The music over the credits sounds like a Brazzers promotional video. So yeah, go listen to the credit music and tell me what you think.
Yes. It's definitely esque.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's necessarily associated with that. It's more 80s.
Yeah.
But a lot of 80s just sort of generic music. People go like, that sounds like a video. Anyway.
So after we get the recap, which just shows the ending of Friday the 13th Part 2, we then have the opening credits, and then it goes into the official opening scene, and there's a guy. I've actually noted down all the names of the characters.
We've got some preparation for a change.
I know.
Well, you have.
Yeah.
I just freehand off my notes because I'm fine without it.
All right, Joel. So there's the guy called Harold. We don't know the name of his wife, so I just called her Harold's wife.
God damn it, Harold and your sloppy habits.
Yeah, she keeps having a go at him because he's just doing, perfectly normal things, but it's things that she doesn't approve.
Yeah, because he's a massive
Yeah. So yeah, he's kind of like sort of stumbling around. He just eats whatever he wants. He's drinking stuff, and she's like, "Oh, the doctor said you're not supposed to eat that or drink that. Come on, I'm trying to help you, Harold. God damn it." And she goes out and she's like sorting out the washing on the washing line, and then like you see like a shot of Jason's hand. He's like lingering.
Yeah, it looks really good. It's like we said before, like this is an improvement. It's an improvement on the cinematography, especially.
I was about to bring this up. So when the opening credits end and that first scene starts, it's like on that wide shot of the store, and the camera like pans like all the way across the store.
Yeah, it's like where the washing line is. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay, that was a very well done shot.
Yeah, it's very eerie.
So credit to, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Gerald Fiel, who was the director of photography for the film. Yeah, the whole film I thought was very well shot.
Yeah.
I would definitely say this is the best so far out of the three. This is the best film to look at.
Yeah, it's also way better lit than the other two.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh,
which
my
makes
God.
such a huge difference.
And that was the thing, like in Friday the 13th Part 2, in the whole climax, we could not see what was
we
going
had
on.
no idea.
But in the recap, we could.
Yeah, see it perfectly fine.
Very bizarre.
Must have remastered it.
And then, what was it? Oh, that was it. Yeah. So like Harold, he keeps hearing strange noises, and he opens the door, and it's Jason, and he like rams a butcher knife in his chest.
Yeah, which looked sick.
It did look really good. Yeah. And then Harold's wife, who sees on the news the protagonist from Part 2 has been attacked. She's been sent to hospital.
Exposition via news report.
Yes, which is a classic cliche.
Yeah.
But it is a classic cliche that
works.
You can't help but enjoy it.
Yeah. The thing is, you only notice it if you're really looking for it. And I think because I sort of watched the film with the intention of obviously reviewing it on the podcast, I was looking out for those kind of things. I think if I was just watching it casually, that would have gone completely over my head. So it's one of those things. It's like if you notice it, oh cool, they've used that cliche. If not, it's just background noise.
And we're not. That's not a downgrade. That's not a negative.
Not at all.
I can imagine there are a lot of movie critics out there who are very snobby, and they could watch this and be like, "Oh, look at this cliche! Oh, it's so amateur."
I didn't realise I was recording with Lord Ben today. No, but it's a very efficient, expedient way of getting an exposition or any kind of crucial information across without killing loads of screen time.
Yeah, it's corny, but with a movie like this, it's such an enjoyable type of corny.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she's like going around trying to look for Harold, and again she's hearing other noises, and then what was it? There's like she like pulls this curtain, and there's like a rat.
Yeah.
There's another like really
it's like on is it on a knife though or something that's like stuck in the wall?
Oh, what do you call them? They're like they're the things that hold up a shelf.
Oh, like a bracket.
Yeah. I think something like that anyway. It's on there, and the way it was shot, it was clearly just set up for another 3D shot.
Yeah, 3D. Oh my god, there's a rat coming at me.
Yeah. And then there's a door behind her, and Jason's hand sort of rips through, and then he stabs her through the back of the neck. I think it's with a knife or something.
Yeah. Looks cool, and then it fades to white.
And then it cuts to another 3D shot of the baseball bat.
That little opening scene, while very effective and sort of establishes the tone and the threat of Jason.
Yes.
Why were there so many animals in it, right? This is just a weird thing that I noted. That there's goldfish.
Yes.
There's a rabbit.
Yes.
And Harold takes one of the rabbits that's got out of its hutch, goes back, and then there's a jump scare with a practical snake,
which on a wire.
Yeah, which did look kind of dumb, but dumb in a good way. I appreciate it. And then obviously there's the rat. Like, why is there so many animals in this one scene? I don't know. It just made
they are clearly animal lovers.
Yeah. Maybe it's their attempt of giving these characters a bit of backstory.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up the scene where Harold finds the other dead rabbits, and he goes, "Who could have done this?" And then the snake sort of jumps out of nowhere. Like, did he own the snake?
Yeah.
Did it somehow sneak its way in there?
Yeah.
Like,
It's a really, really minor detail that I got really hung up on.
I want a spin-off about Harold's pets.
Yeah. little like ensemble cast.
Yeah.
Get some celebrity voice actors in. Beautiful, beautiful. I think that's my notes covered.
Yeah.
For the. I did put the goldfish are great actors.
I thought the rabbit was great.
Yeah, excellent. But no, that whole kind of opening scene was great. I actually thought the fake out jump scare with the rat on the bracket was actually quite good. It actually kind of got me a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, it actually did. I think it might have been more jumping at the music than the actual shot.
Yeah.
But it did actually get me. And then obviously, like, Jason coming from behind. I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But it still looked so sick.
Yeah.
So sick.
I wasn't really affected by it, but then again, I can barely blink when it comes to horror movies anyway.
Yeah, nothing phases you.
No. Although I did jump when I went to see Alien Romulus.
Oh, did you?
Which was very good.
Ooh.
But that's for another episode.
Yes, for another one.
Yeah, speaking of music, I have to say, the music in this was fantastic.
Yeah, again, another step up.
Harry, again, I apologise if I'm mispronouncing this, Harry Manfredini, or Manfredini. I apologise if I've mispronounced that. But yeah, amazing job on the score.
It still has some of the musical cliches of horror films where like you have like the constant rising note to build tension.
Yep.
And I don't know how to describe it other than that the sort of orchestral stabbing that's very much inspired from like Psycho and the shower scene. They're
Yes.
like, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like they obviously crop up. But otherwise, this one felt way more novel and way more unique compared to part 1 and part 2.
More cinematic.
Yes, that's probably the
and
word.
I can say the same about the cinematography as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt way more cinematic. Okay, and then obviously after the baseball shot, we are then introduced to our group of main characters in the movie. So our protagonist is Chrissy.
Yeah, we actually could actually remember characters' names this time.
And even if we did forget them, I've written them all down.
Yeah, just in case.
In case.
It was easier to identify who was who because like a lot of the time in part 1 and part 2, if a character's name was mentioned in dialogue at all, it was another character scared, just shouting names aimlessly.
Yeah.
So it was hard to like put a name to a face, I suppose. Yeah. Whereas in this one, there are like actual like scenes of exposition and scenes of dialogue where you get to know the characters more, and so you actually can associate a name with a face.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to give it a plus for this because films should just do this anyway, but it's a margin improvement on part 1 and part 2.
Yes, yeah. I mean, to this day, the only thing that I can take in terms of a character name, the only thing I can take from the first one is
Bill or Kevin Bacon.
That's just because it's Kevin Bacon.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
nothing to do with the character whatsoever.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chrissy is she's driving a van, isn't she?
Yes.
Along with Shelley, who is
God damn it, Shelley. The amount of times that gets said.
I know. Who is the stereotypical, I'm using quotation marks when I say this, fat nerd character. We then have Andy and Deborah, who are a couple, and Deborah's pregnant.
Yes.
And the only reason we know that is because, there's a line said
about having to stop and go to the toilet when they're driving or something.
Yeah.
Well, that'll happen when you're pregnant.
So on the nose.
Yeah.
And then in the back of the van, there are a stoner couple.
Yeah, Shaggy and Velma. No.
No. Chuck. Now, I don't know if this character's name is Abby or Julie, because I heard both names be said to her. So I've just written her down as Abby Julie.
Abby Julie.
Abby Julie.
Abby Julie. Sounds Welsh. See, well, I watched it a second time, and I did not hear Abby once, so I'm certain it's Julie. But Abby Julie sounds better.
Abby Julie. I might have just been hearing things, but it is funnier to just call her Abby Julie.
Yeah. The first line of dialogue I recall is, I think it's Chrissy saying to... Oh my God, I've immediately forgotten her name.
Andy and Deborah.
Yeah. Chrissy says to Andy and Debbie, like, is that all you guys ever think about, or something like that?
Oh yeah, I've written the line down. She goes, "You guys are boring, you know that,"
and which means they're going to die.
Yeah, well, very clearly. And then what is it? They're like talking, and then Shelley's sneaking up to them, wearing a mask and holding a kitchen knife.
Yeah,
and like the kitchen knife is fake, and he like pretends to stab Annie. He's like, "God damn it, Shelley!" Look, how are you ever gonna get a date if you keep doing this? And then he pulls the mask off, doesn't he? And he goes, would you date someone if you looked like this?
Yeah. And I'm going to say, right, he's not even like a bad looking dude.
No!
He's not. If that's the idea of what like the sort of stereotypical ugly, like very self-conscious kind of like nerdy character is, miscasting completely. Like, because he's not bad looking. I suppose, you know, he's kind of got like the frizzy hair, and you know, he's wearing like a short sleeve check shirt or something, which is some kind of a cliche from American schools back then. I don't know. I don't think he's ugly by any means. And so like him saying that line's kind of a bit jarring.
Yeah, he's not a bad looking dude. He's not even that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very odd. And imagine being the actor and being given that role.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh yeah, you're going to be the fat nerd.
That must make you self-conscious as an actor.
Read these lines. Would you date someone if you looked like this?
Like, what are you trying to say?
That's quite insulting.
Yeah, and then we kind of get another great line where I think Andy's saying to him like stop being an asshole. He goes, I'm not an asshole, I'm an actor. And he goes, same thing.
I feel personally attacked.
Yeah, I do feel personally attacked. Like I've met some actors in my time that are lovely. I have also met my fair share of actors who are assholes. So
yeah.
It's the same as real life. And then just like some great exposition where he's like, you know, you're my best friend and my roommate, like that kind of level exposition where I'm like, is this really necessary? Like, because all we're really here for is to watch them die.
Yeah.
But I suppose they have to give them some kind of backstory and connection.
Joel, you're my best friend of over 10 years. Remember at our same school? And we did those shows, and you met my mom, and I met your mom, and we went on a lot of adventures together, remember? On the 16th of April, 1979.
But that is like kind of the vibe. It's like the information given in that dialogue is so oddly specific and so jarring and so like something nobody would ever in real life say.
Yeah.
Which moments like that's even still with this franchise take me out of it. Like they want to give these characters some kind of backstory and make you feel attached to them in some way, but it just doesn't work. Just start killing the
Yeah.
You know, it's what we're all there for. We all know what Friday the 13th means. It means people get stabby, stabby, die. You know? I don't know why I said it like that.
That should have been the title.
Stabby, stabby, die. This is my screenplay written by a 5-year-old.
Yeah, they go to pick up another character, Vera, who is the date that Andy has got for I was going to say Shira, for Shelley. Mm-hmm. And she comes out like her mother doesn't want her to go. She's like shouting. I think she's shouting in Spanish.
Couldn't tell you.
No, and then Vera comes out and she goes, what were they saying? Oh, you know, just the usual mother stuff.
Yeah, which that line's like, we can't be bothered to think of a reason, so we're going to make the audience's job to think of a reason.
We'll just have
just usual mother stuff.
In the script, it just says the mother doesn't even have any dialogue. It just says the mother screams in some other language.
Yeah. What is that? Oh, wait, are you taking the piss or is that genuine?
Both. I mean, I was taking the piss, but I would not be surprised if that was what they did.
Because again, that interaction is so minor and so insignificant.
Yeah.
No, they probably use Spanish, I imagine.
Yeah. And she goes, what is it? Where's my date? And Shelley's there with the mask, and he goes, hi, you're Shelley? And he takes the mask off, and he goes, sorry.
Imagine apologising for your own existence. I do it frequently, and just like drop a spoon. I'm like, sorry. No, but imagine that though. Like, here I am. I'm your date.
Sorry.
Like this is the energy that people don't need when you meet them off Tinder. I like confidence in a man. Sorry. This is not going to work out.
I remember when I was at university, I used to apologise a lot. And my tutor turned to me, he's like, Ben, you should stop apologising so much. I know, I'm sorry.
What are you sorry for now? I'm sorry for being sorry.
For God's sake, Ben. I'm sorry. God damn it, won't you ever learn? Oh, and then Deb turns and goes, the van's on fire!
Oh, it was just great.
And yeah, their van is
coughing,
combusted.
It's puffing with smoke.
And so they like run to get it fixed. Oh, no. What am I thinking? They run thinking that the car is combust, but it turns out to be the stoners smoking weed.
The car is combust. Sorry, I just had to point that out. They thought the car was combust. No, but it is.
My memory is so shocking.
Yeah.
I've seen this twice in prep for this, and I still forget. God's sake.
Yeah, but it is Chuck and
Abby
Julie getting baked,
absolutely baked.
having a little splifferoonie.
Oh yeah.
And Chuck is very Shaggy inspired. Like, I don't care what anyone says. He is so clearly like just a Shaggy clone.
And I would say Abby Julie was like Velma.
Yeah, it's like it's not a 1-for-1 comparison.
No,
but the
no,
elements are there.
Yeah.
And like even the fact that they're driving around in like a little van, which kind of looks a bit like the Mystery Machine. Like, I feel like that's the vibe they were going for with this group of
So was Andy?
characters.
Would you say that Andy is Fred?
He's like Fred, yeah.
Chrissy is
Daphne, and then the other one, unfortunately,
And Shelley is Scooby.
Scooby.
Oh, but wait, who's Deb?
I don't know. Maybe Shelley can be Scrappy because Scrappy's a little. God damn it, Scrappy! Yeah, and then there's this scene in the van where they're driving. Now, are they at the lake again? Are they at a cabin? Because it felt like they were on a farm to me.
No, it was a cabin in the woods.
Right. But there is a barn that features very heavily in this, and it did just kind of throw me and made me think, like, are they just on a farm? I don't know, like just a farm with a lake like adjacent.
No, it's an interesting. I mean, it's definitely in a cabin in the woods, but it is interesting as to why there is a barn and why it is so heavily focused in this.
But they used it really effectively.
I mean, yeah, it was well used.
Yeah. And it was a nice change to the usual just kind of running around on the bit of ground between the cabin and the shoreline.
I just want to know the thought process behind it.
Yeah, because the whole idea, the whole concept of the barn, it's just sort of jumping ahead a little bit. It gets explained away by protagonist's name again, Chrissy. She's explaining to the other guy who comes in later, Rick. She's explaining to him, you know, my dad always gets this idea that he's going to buy a horse and he always buys the hay, but then he never buys the horse. So that kind of, like, generally explains the existence of this barn. But there's no other context given. So there's nothing in the barn other than hay.
Did her dad eat the hay?
Maybe.
Was her dad the horse?
It's a weird kink.
Dad?
Nay. I think I've broken Ben.
I can just picture it in my head.
With a mouthful of hay.
Yeah, he's in the barn naked. Dad?
Nay.
How great would it be if he was the villain instead of Jason?
Oh my god.
Nay. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So, but they're driving to, so they are cabin by the lake.
Yeah.
So they're driving there, and Chuck and Abby Julie are having their little spliff. Yeah. And Andy in the front's like, you know, like, pass it here or whatever he says. And Abby Julie reaches forward and the shot lingers. So like it's like a POV shot. So
Yes.
she's passing it to the camera. And the shot lingers for so long.
I mean, this came out in 1982. And obviously back then, there were barely any movies that came out in 3D.
Yeah.
The only ones that I can think of right now off the top of my head is this Friday the 13th Part 3 and Jaws 3, which was out in 3D, which is terrible. And I don't know, maybe because back then 3D wasn't fully understood. Maybe they didn't really figure out how to utilize 3D in a creative way that also made a lot of sense. And because we didn't watch this in 3D, it's not available in 3D. the shots just look really weird.
Yeah, I assume the idea of holding it there, because a lot of the 3D shots, at least so far, and I think there are plenty of other instances of this, the things that are 3D are fairly static.
Yeah.
Like the rat on the bracket and the baseball bat from the opening shot of the scene where we first meet the mains. The items in question are relatively static, so the effect and the shots are like not necessarily short, like they linger for a moment, but it doesn't feel so jarring. Whereas this is somebody in a moving vehicle passing an object and reaching forward, and I think it stands out because like her hand is moving because of like the vibration from like driving, which you can see, but then also she holds it for a really long time, and like it looks like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why that shot in particular just stood out as being really odd.
Yeah. No, it was very odd. I can't remember which bit comes first. Do they come across the old man first, or do they think they're being approached by the police first?
They think they're being approached by the police first.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, there's police following them. Well, they think they're being followed by the police, and because they've got weed.
Yeah,
they're like, "Oh my god, we have to eat it. We have to eat it." No, not me. I'm driving. Hands it to Deb. I'm pregnant, and it's like, "Oh, come on, just eat it." And then the police just drive by them. Turns out they weren't after them at all. I wrote down roadkill.
Yeah.
Why did I write?
I've
There was the shot.
Dead rabbit.
Dead animal on the road.
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw my notes, and for a split second I got really confused. My memory is so awful, honestly.
Genuinely is.
It's
in
really
real
bad.
My co-host has dementia.
Who are you?
It's me, your long-time friend that you're going to give all your money to.
Joel is erotically caressing my back as he said that.
I am, yeah. I don't know why I decided that was an appropriate thing to do.
Am I indeed your friend?
No. Yeah.
You just pull me in really close.
Yeah. The police they encounter is going to the crime scene where Harold's wife were killed, which is the only way that element really ties in to the main characters at the very least. But at least it gives you some sense of where Jason's been. Yeah, because he leaves death in his wake.
Well, you say that there's this link, and I think it made sense that Chrissy is the one looking, and she looks really concerned. Because we later find out that Chrissy actually has a bit of a traumatic backstory.
Yes.
That is in connection with Jason.
Yeah.
We will get to that a bit further on. But yeah, Chrissy's driving the van. She's the only one who's looking at that crime scene looking really concerned. And it's Deborah. I'm not saying this verbatim because I can't fully remember what she said. But she says something along the lines of like, "Hey, kiddo, don't drift off now," or something like that. And then Chrissy sort of comes back to consciousness, if you want to call it that. And then they nearly run over an old man.
An old man who's having a little nap in the road.
I don't know if this film felt obliged to add another old man.
Yeah, like in part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, well, we killed the old man in part 2, so
we need another one.
We're just going to add another one." But this is the only... You mentioned this earlier. This is the only scene he's in.
Yeah, he does not crop up again. He does not get mentioned again.
Nope.
He's just there for this one scene. And I remember you saying when we reviewed part 1 that there's certain parts of it that were there just purely as filler to pad it out to a feature-length time. Part of me wonders, is that what this is? Or not necessarily padding, but like an echo of that.
It's like a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Because if you were to cut that bit out, it wouldn't change anything.
No.
They're still going to the camp.
Yeah.
Because this character never comes back.
No.
Oh, what is it? They come out, because it's like, "Oh, I can't, I must have not seen him. Oh my God." And Chuck says,
"He looks just like my grandfather."
It's so random. Yeah. And he wakes up and they like help him up and he's... Oh, what is it? Yeah, he wakes up and he goes, "Oh, I must be in heaven."
Yeah.
And they help him up and he's like blabbing on about something. He's clearly not fully with it. He's talking about dead bodies, and like he pulls something out of his pocket, and they're like, "What's that?" "I found this on the bodies." And Shelley's like, "It's an eye. Come on, guys, we gotta get out of here."
And the old man holds the eye out to the camera for another 3D shot.
And he's obviously in the first two we had the old man going, "You're doomed," but in this he's going, "I have warned thee."
Yeah. Where did he get the eyeball?
Well, he says he found it on
So
one
presumably
of the bodies.
it's Harold or Harold's wife's eyeball.
Yeah.
What a f***ing weirdo.
Yeah, I was going to say. So surely before the police arrived and the paramedics, he must have been wandering around the crime scene, like, just playing.
Go on, say it.
Playing with the bodies.
Dirty. Well, that's all that one can infer, I suppose.
Again, we need another spin-off.
Yeah, I want to know what the f***ing guy was doing, a little weirdo. But then he decides to just have a little f***ing snooze in the road. Like, not like off to the side, like in the f***ing middle.
I suppose it makes sense to his character because they find out he's a complete loon.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably the case, isn't it?
Or it's just because, they're driving, there's an old man on the road. I can just imagine the writers getting baked in their office, but like, "Oh my god, I'm only driving this van. There's like an old man laying in the middle of the road. He's a complete psychopath, man. He's gonna be like talking about like murders and shit, and he's got like someone's eyeball." And and then they're like,
So Chuck wrote this movie, okay.
I was really coughing that.
I thought you were joking. Didn't think that was real. Okay, so then they arrive at the camp and they cross a little rickety bridge to get in. And there's a shot.
I thought you were playing on Rick's name then.
little Rick Bridge that he built himself. Well done, little man.
Well done, Rick.
They cross a bridge and there's a shot as they drive across it where you see some of the wood move as the van drives across. And I pointed it out and I said, that's going to be important later.
Yes. Yep.
Remember this, listeners.
Because it does play back.
I am a soothsayer.
You can predict the future.
I can. Because I managed it multiple times through this.
Or you're just like a smart guy and you've watched so many movies, you just know how movies are structured.
Yeah. So I'm not a soothsayer, is that what you're saying?
Joel, I'm sorry. You can't predict the future.
But why?
Because that would be weird.
That's fair. Just in my notes, I've got Rick, another guy.
But and it's like a really pointless jump scare. Because like Chris is going around, she can hear a noise and she's like, "Who's there? Hello?" And like his arms come out and then Moose's like, and grabs her and he's like hugging her and kissing her and he's like, "Hey baby, how's it going? Wanna f-?" No, I'm joking, he doesn't say that.
Funny you saying that because I was like, Rick seems significantly older than Chrissy. And it just, I don't know, a bit dodge.
And isn't it weird as well that they're all supposed to be teenagers?
Yeah, but he's the most like
he is very
adult looking. Like he looks like he's in his like mid-30s.
I was going to say early 40s.
Yeah, I could probably push it that far.
Chrissy looks like she's in her 20s.
Yeah.
Bit odd. But yeah, as the film is progressing, because Chrissy keeps mentioning, she's like, "I just can't believe I'm back here. Like, I don't want it to be like last time." And
yeah, and I think Rick says something about not seeing her since last summer, and it sort of leaves this hanging question in the air of what happened last summer.
That, I will say, was a little frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I think there was a little too much build-up to her eventually revealing what the backstory is.
Yeah, because it's less significant to the actual plot of this film than you'd think.
I don't think it has. I think it adds nothing.
Yeah, I think it is. Is it just a way of explaining how Jason survived the last one? Because did you actually see him move at the end of part 2? I can't remember.
In the actual movie of part 2, no, you don't. But in the recap, you do.
You do. Yeah. So they retcon themselves.
Kind of, yeah. But then Chrissy said that it happened a few years ago. But at the beginning of part 3, Harold's wife is watching the news about the attack and the protagonist being taken to hospital. So the events don't add up.
No, they don't line up, do they? That's where, unless the news reports talking about someone that we don't know about, but
No.
you'd assume that they are talking about.
You see her.
Oh, yeah, because they show a photo of her in the news report.
It's the
That's
footage.
really odd.
They're putting her in the ambulance.
Maybe Jason has a power to play with time.
I mean, either that or the event took place, I don't know, somewhere between 1 and 2.
Yeah, I suppose the actual timing of it doesn't really matter. It'll matter to some people who really care about those things. You know, like the people who try and like line up the entire timeline of the MCU in like perfect order.
God.
You just can't. Well, you probably can, but I can't be bothered to do it for myself.
I like to think that this bit Jason attacking the girl, it like took place somewhere between the first movie and the second movie. Alright? And anyone who thinks otherwise should just shut the up, alright? Cause you don't know You don't know like me, alright? Trust me, I know this franchise better than anyone else. I said don't bother me, Mom!
Anyway.
God damn it, Shelley. When you shouted that, you scared me and I nearly dropped my phone.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, so I've written in my notes, Michael. So I've written in my notes, oh, spooky, an open door. So one trend I noticed in the cinematography of this is there are a lot of shots of doors just mysteriously closing on their own through various points through the film. I get, again, it's a horror cliche, but there seem to be an abnormal amount in comparison to what we've seen so far. I think it's on account of Jason appears to be using the barn as some kind of hideout, so he's therefore in and out quite a lot. And a lot of characters then therefore go in and not necessarily back out, some do, but in and out of the barn. And it's like every time that happens, there's a shot of the door closing.
Yeah.
just a little quirk of the cinematography that I noted.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, so there's a bit where Shelley and Vera, they go to the shop to pick up some groceries, don't they?
Oh, they do, yes.
Where they bump into some thugs because Shelley passes his wallet to Vera, but she drops it. And one of the thugs called Fox steps on the wallet. And there's like a bit of a standoff between her and Vera, and like Fox is like, "You gotta ask nice if you want your wallet back, girl." And was it like Ali and Loki? No, Loco.
Loco.
Yeah, Loco, that's it.
Yeah.
But a bit weird if Loki was in this.
Neil! Jason's just like,
Okay.
what?
Okay. Ali and Loco, they grab Shelley, and Shelley's like, "Well, guys, be cool." And then eventually gives the wallet back, and they're like, "Oh, let's just get out of here." And then they get in the car. Shelley goes to drive away, but then ends up crushing their bikes.
Yeah, which was a nice little moment of like Shelley actually getting some confidence and doing something a bit more.
Well, crushing the bikes
risky.
was by accident.
Well, yeah, the accidental part, which is quite funny. Yeah. But then he turns around to go and deliberately hit a bike again, which
because
was nice
Ali uses this big chain and smashes the car window.
Yeah.
And so Shelley's like, "He went too far this time," and then literally rams forward and ends up crushing their bikes.
Yeah. Nice little character moment. Inconsequential in the final product, really, when you get to the end of it.
Yeah.
But nice little moment. Also, like, again, I'm sure it's just a stereotypical thing in film at the time, right? The whole idea of like a biker gang that is like hounding a convenience store in the country in America. Was that a frequent occurrence?
I have no idea.
I don't know. If anyone who grew up in the 80s in the American country can tell me, like, if that was a frequent thing, I doubt it.
I mean, we're British, so if there are people listening who are American, so we call thugs. I mean, sometimes we do call them thugs, but there's another name that we call them, and it's chav.
Yeah, well, it's an abbreviation because it's supposed to stand for, what is it, council housed and violent, and it's.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's the original like origin of the word, but it's sort of grown and evolved to just be a blanket term to be any kind of thuggish behaviour. Oh, well, they're a chav.
Yeah. And they dress like they wear like a tracksuit. They tuck their trousers into their socks, and they wear caps and smoke weed.
Yeah.
And
Although they tend to be a lot younger these days. You don't think? But
I
this
think
is kind of getting a little bit off topic, but I work a retail job. You also work a retail job.
Yes.
So we come into contact with these people all the time.
yeah.
And the ones that I encounter have honestly just been getting younger and younger and younger. There's one, he looks like he's like 10 years old, right? And I call him Discount Del Boy because he swans about, like how in like Only Fools, Del would like sort of hit the breast of his jacket and like sort of walk about like all confident. That's how he swans about with like black gilet, and he just looks like a right. And he came up just for context, like I make coffee for a living. So this guy comes up, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna nick this sugar." I was like, "Okay, it's free anyway." Okay. Like, what does he expect me to do? Like, oh no, crime of the century. What are we going to do?
Just hope to God he doesn't whip out a massive chain.
Yeah. What, and break my car window? I don't even drive.
Have a car.
I don't know how to drive. So he's going to buy me a car and then
Smash
break
the
window. Anyway, back to the film. I wanted to mention Discount Del Boy.
Had a bit of a tangent on the British thugs.
Yes. Okay, so Shelley and Vera. They go back to the cabin. What happens before then?
So they come back with the car.
Yeah. Shelley's apology to Rick for coming back with his car windshield smashed is so paper thin. He's just like, just a bit of repair work, he'll be fine. Like, you got the guy's, like, window smashed, you p***. You're not going to offer to pay for it at the very least.
Let's say if that was me, you came back with my car, and my car window was smashed, I'd be like, Joel, what the f*** have you done to my car?
Yeah, it'd be a way more serious situation than just hand-waving it away with one line.
You'd be like, if you were to go, oh, just take it to some guy, and it'll be fine. I'd be like, no.
What the f*** are you on about?
Joel, you're not going anywhere. We are resolving the situation now.
Yeah. Shelley's encounter with the biker gang prompts them to follow and leads to a couple of interesting things. Firstly, they siphon the fuel from the van.
Yeah.
And I pointed out again, that's going to be important later.
Yeah.
And secondly, Fox just decides to go explore the barn. And I will note it is kind of cool seeing sort of Jason sort of stalking around at this time, sort of watching them from afar. All very, very good, builds the tension. But then it's immediately undercut by Fox just having a little swing on the barn rope, be like, whee! Which just made me chuckle.
I will say this film does have some very good setups and payoffs.
Yes.
Because with the setup of seeing the bridge...
Yeah.
Set up with them taking the gas out of the van.
Yeah.
Those parts all come into play later on in the film. Those moments have a reason to be there.
Yeah, there's a moment where there's like a fireplace and Andy and Shelley are like putting coal on the fire and they draw deliberate attention to the poker. And that, I think, was another instance where I was like, that's going to be important later. They make a big to-do about, why are there no beds? There's only hammocks. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be important. And so they really do kind of like lace the sort of first act, or even like act one and a portion of act two, I suppose, with all these little things that you're like, oh, just remember that, and and I think everything pretty much pays off by the end. I can't think of a single loose end.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, apart from the old man who you never see again.
Yeah, that's a weird one, but
there are a few things in this that, again, like as we were saying, they're MacGuffins. If you were to take them out, it would not change the plot of the film at all. But as we were just saying, there are some very good setups and payoffs, which I did appreciate.
Yeah. But then Fox, obviously having a little swing, she disappears.
Yes, and Loco is trying to find her. He's like, Fox, where are you? And he eventually finds Fox pinned to, I'm supposing, like a block of wood in the barn by a pitchfork through her neck.
Yeah, brutal.
And then Jason stabs Loco with another pitchfork through his stomach.
Which reminded me of something, this is only going to resonate with British audiences that are fan of soap operas. But do you remember in EastEnders there was Lucas Johnson, who became like a killer, and his first victim, it was his ex, and they were arguing in a shed, and he pushed her onto a rake.
Yes, I do remember this, yeah.
I don't know why, but I think obviously because it's a 3-pronged tool, garden tool. It just made me think of that, of EastEnders. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you reckon the writers of EastEnders watched Friday the 13th?
Yeah, maybe
part
were
two,
inspired
part two,
by
part
it.
3.
Yeah, maybe they were inspired by it. I don't know. Yeah,
Pitchfork. We could do something with
with
this,
that,
guys. So Loco and Fox are killed. Ali then comes to the barn trying to find them, and we are introduced to the machete.
Yes. I will say, so when you first broached the idea of reviewing these films, we had a sort of preliminary discussion. We might have even talked this about briefly on air. On the pod.
On the pod.
Where you talk about the sort of Jason iconography not being a staple from the very beginning. And there was me kind of thinking that, I don't know why, but like all of those things would all come in one go.
Yeah.
And they don't. And I think it seeded slowly through this film where by the end, that iconic Jason look is complete. Which is why I feel like this film is the one where it really found its footing. It figured out what it wanted to be and what it wanted to do. And I think that's why that iconic image of Jason stuck moving forward, because this one is the one that actually laid the groundwork.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you just saying that, it's just made me think, what if this was the first movie?
Yeah, you could start here. You could easily start here and it not really have an impact, because I believe there are some returnees in future ones. Maybe, if I'm...
No.
Or am I thinking of something completely different?
No, sorry. No, there are, sorry.
Yeah. But they don't really need to be explained away that heavily. Not really.
Yeah.
So I feel like this could have been a perfect jumping on point.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Because we were saying, and I can't remember which one it was, but we said in one of our previous reviews that in the first film it's Jason's mum, and Jason's
mum has got it up the... Oh no, Ben.
Yeah, in the first one it's Jason's mum. Jason only appears at the end, and then in the second one it is Jason, but he has a bag on his head and he uses various different weapons. And in this, he does use various different weapons, but eventually I suppose he does become accustomed with the machete. With the machete. And we are introduced to the hockey mask, which of course finalizes or completes Jason's iconic look, which has become such a staple in horror.
Yeah, like everyone knows what that combination of things means.
Even if you haven't seen the movies,
yeah,
you look at that and you know.
Before watching them for the podcast, I'd never seen any of them, but I know what Jason looks like.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's how like that little image can transcend the media that it's in. It's just like off the top of my head, it's like how like people will associate like, you know, the old police boxes with the TARDIS, or I'm trying to think of like other examples. Like if we're sticking with the Only Fools and Horses analogy, people see a Robin Reliant and think, you know, Del Boy Rodney.
But even, you know, there were other staples of horror that were also coming out during that time. You've got Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
You have Michael Myers. You have Leatherface. You have Chucky.
Yeah.
You have Ghostface in the Scream movies.
Oh, yeah,
you know, again,
of course.
you see that mask and you just
know.
Yeah,
everyone knows what that means.
You have Pinhead from the Hellraiser movies.
Yes.
I remember I have a very distinct memory when I was a kid, and my parents took me and my siblings to this carnival. We were living somewhere else. It was in my hometown. And they took us to this carnival and we were having fun. We were like having sweets and going on rides. And we walked by this wall and it was a giant painting of Pinhead. And I remember saying to my dad, like, oh my God, what is that? What is that? And he said, well, you're not old enough yet to watch it, but he's a character from a horror movie. And I never forgot that painting because that look, I mean, just looking at the painting, it was scary. And then eventually when my parents agreed that I was old enough to watch it, as soon as I saw him in the film, I instantly remembered that big painting.
Yeah.
You know, and again, you see that face.
Yeah.
And you just know.
Yeah. It's weird how that imagery just sticks with you, isn't it? Yeah. I can't even remember like the first time I would have seen the image of like Jason or anything like that. I think maybe like in stores, like, you know, like sort of like comic shops and like nerdy shops and things.
Yeah.
Like Forbidden Planet or something, and there's bound to be like some figure of Jason and, you know, like Freddy Krueger and things that I've seen and gone, oh, okay.
Yeah. Even like in Halloween, when like supermarkets, when they set up their Halloween sections,
Yeah,
getting
and
ready,
the masks are all there.
and they'll sell the Jason hockey mask. They'll sell like plastic machetes and yeah. Guys, we are going to leave it there for part 1 of this episode, but you can join us next week as we discuss part 2.
Ooh, part 2 of part 3.
Yeah. We hope it's not confusing for anyone. But anyway, take care, my loves, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.